Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, I wanted to do an update on all of the bosses. I just think I've done the individual boss updates like 3 or 4 times within 2 months of the game's launch. So I wanted to do this one just to show you guys some different options. We're going to be using Pridewind for this one and just looking at their options, and then I'll give you guys different options on top of each boss because we have seen some changes and it is nice to look at some of these different meta shifts and stuff and options that you have. Obviously with bosses, it is going to be different on every person, but you know, we can get you guys some ideas, and like I said, looking at the formations that they have updated with and then giving you guys my thoughts for people that may not have some of these units, I think is a nice clean way to get through all of the bosses without me redoing every single boss again, because I've done them heaps of times. If you do want more insights into each boss, you can search each boss's name on the channel and you will find videos, and I go through my in-depth description of my thought process on them, but I wanted to get more concise on the teams and units you can use at the moment. So let's get into it. So we're going to do Lone Ghaz and Alphabet first. Now, these are the ones I have updated the most recently, so I'm not going to spend too much time on them because I feel like those videos are still very relevant. Now, the Lone Ghaz here, and massive shout out to Analytica. Pridewind's using Analytica's team builder, so if you want to build teams like this and share them around, I'll leave this linked in the description. Fantastic tool for doing so if you want to share it around the community and stuff like that. But let's go here. So some teams they've got this one with Shakir, which is a solid team, and we've got this one with Rainier. But I know a lot of people may not have Shakir or Rainier built, so they do give other options down the bottom here. And if we look at this one, they include the Lucius tech. That was honestly the best unit for me. Now, I have recently, in the most recent version of this, I swapped Lucius out, and I actually put my Cecilia in, because, you know, she's one of the units that I have built. It actually got me some more damage. So the Lucius can be clutch in certain situations, and once again, this stuff all depends on what difficulty of the boss you're doing, you know, how high level you are, how geared you are, and all that stuff. There are a lot of variables, but in this one, your core team is normally going to be Thorin, Smokey, Odie, and Coco, and then that last spot is going to be a flexible spot that you can try different units in, and I advise trying different units in this one. It's really nice. Something else that you can use in this one, I don't know if they show it in either of these teams or if they put it down here, they don't actually show it, but something that you can try out if you're struggling with dying too soon on this boss is the new defensive artifact. It's the first one we get in the season, where it basically adds more survivability. This one is allowing you to essentially avoid some deaths if your Odie is dying too quick to the wolves. Now, positioning in this one is very important because you want Odie at the very back so that he is the one getting targeted. However, the one thing that they don't do in this formation is something that I highly recommend, which is putting your Thorin in position number 9 and linking him to Odie, because Odie will then be in the back position and also be getting that damage mitigation from Thorin. If he doesn't have the damage mitigation from Thorin, then he will be in a bit of trouble. So normally I put Thorin in position 9 and then I put Smokey in like position 11 or something like that, but you can leave him up the front there if you want to. It's perfectly fine. But yeah, linking the Odie to Thorin is going to be huge if you are struggling with survival on your Odie. So that is that one. Let's jump into the next boss, the Alphabet. And once again, let me know if you guys like this format, just for like a quick meta update on what's happening. Like I said, I can do all the videos again, but I feel like I've done that to death and I don't want to like bore you guys too much. I'd rather get the direct information out. So as we go into the Alphabet, so this one is a very interesting one, which is the zoo format, which essentially you're using Florabelle to swarm the field so that the honey has to go on all the ads and it progresses through like that. So the bear is putting honey on the summons instead of on your characters, helps them survive longer. I actually found for me in some stages testing with a maxed out Florabelle and a maxed out Cecilia that sometimes Cecilia just worked better. That's normally if you're not running this comp with Rainier and you're running a Thorin. So the core comp of this one is normally going to be Smokey, Coco, and Odie. That is going to be your core. Then you're normally going to want a summoner, and then you're going to want another amplification unit. For most people, that is going to be a Thorin. They don't actually have a Thorin formation here, but you can see here that they say instead of Rainier, you can run the Thorin. Now, the thing about the Thorin is if you are running Thorin and then Cecilia, you are getting that 3-2 faction bonus, which is a nice added benefit, and it can work quite well. Now, sometimes with Florabelle as well, if you're just using the Florbell, and as you can see in this team, we are using the Odie to teleport to the boss, so Odie will be in melee range. But you know, sometimes you can actually get away with full range teams and having no one in melee and letting the summons fill up that melee spot, but it doesn't always work. But like I said, for a lot of people, I think a really solid team is going to be the Smokey, Coco, and Odie mixed with Thorin and Cecilia. That team honestly works really well, and for most people that have Cecilia built, that is going to be great. If you don't have Cecilia or Florbell built and you only have one copy of each, I would probably go with the Florbell, but once again, you can test out the Cecilia. So that is what we are looking at that one. Once again, I do like using the Cecilia in this comp with the Thorin, but if you do have the Rainier, obviously he is a fantastic option in there, and they do list that down here as an option for the Cecilia as well. So let's move on into the King Croker. Now, King Croker is an interesting one that really depends on how high in the difficulty you are, whether you're pushing for 80 to 100% or whether you're pushing for like 20 to 40%. It depends where you are, because it's really going to depend how much the damage of his bomb really affects you. Now with King Croker, something that is very important is having Mythic plus Thorin. If you don't have Mythic plus Thorin, you're probably going to want to run like a Kruger in there to take the first hit. Now, if you are running, let's see if they've got it here, they don't have it. So if you are running Thorin at Mythic plus, you're fine because he can take all the deaths. Otherwise, you can use a Kruger as well, and if you are using the Kruger, it would look more something like this. If I can actually find the characters down here, I would put Thorin into this position, and then I would put Kruger, if I can find him. Where's Kruger at? Into this position, and then you can put your Smokey wherever he's at. Dude, my eyes suck. And you can do it like that. So if you don't have Mythic plus Thorin, this is the kind of formation I like using, because this way the first bubble will actually kill the Kruger, and then the next two will go on the Thorin. And that is the way you like doing it, unless you have a very heavily invested Kruger, because that way, otherwise, if you do it this way, then Thorin will get the first bubble, and Kruger will end up dying to just the general attacks of Croker, like the swipe and stuff, before he gets to absorb a bubble. So that is why I like doing it like this. And Kruger is generally, once again, RNG could be the thing that manipulates it, but Kruger is generally going to be the one that gets killed when you put him in this position. So that is that one. Then, once again, we have the core combo of Odie, Coco, and, Odie, Smokey, and Coco. They make up your core. Like I said, Thorin is the other one. For me personally, because I do have my Thorin at Mythic Plus, and I don't have the Rainier, I actually use my my Marilee in this team formation. So my team formation actually looks something like this. If I... where is she? Where is she? Where can we find it? I do like this. I'm so bad at finding characters. If we go down and there she is. There she is. Boom, boom. Let's put her there. So I go with something like this. And I chuck her normally linked to the Thorin. Then I normally, and once again, your spread on this one is going to be important so that the bomb isn't consistently hitting everyone. And then I'll put something like Coco there. And then I'll go ahead and I'll put my Odie over, if I can find him. Dude, where is he? There he is. And then I'll put my Odie over here. So with this formation, it allows your team to be spread. The other option you can do is put Smokey there and put Thorin there and put Marilee there. So you do have a spread. The bomb will more likely hit over here. But once again, Marilee jumping around can affect the positioning of the bomb and stuff like that. And then for this one, normally I'm looking at Starshard as my option for this one. But that kind of team is also really good if those are the types of units that you have built. Now, as we go back over here, you can see Team 2. We actually have the Cassidy in this one. So Cassidy is doing really good things with the magic meta as well, but you will need her at Mythic Plus if you want to sub her into this team. But Elsa is also an option creeping into these as well that you can also make use of if you do have her heavily invested, because once again, especially for free to play, the investment into your characters is what's going to be very important as well. So that is for the King Croker. Let's go back over and let's jump into Necro Dracon. Now Necro Dracon's an interesting one over here. Once again, they only have one team listed. They do have your replacements here, and basically I still use the replacements team. I don't use Rainier, I use Coco, and I don't use Kruger, I use Corrin still. Now for me it just works a lot better. because I use all the 3 core movement units, which is Tamisha. Even at low ascension, my Tamisha does work in this one. We're going to replace him over with a Coco, and then we're going to have the Corrin in here, and that team works perfectly well. And it's honestly still very good. I haven't found a way to slot, even though Odie's damage is really good in the current meta, I haven't found a way to slot the Odie in there. The other thing you can do is when we look over here, is you can use a Smokey. Now, sometimes you're not going to be able to survive with just like this type of team. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and I would be using either Coco, or you can use Smokey. So once again, you can try either one of those. Sometimes for me, depending on my range in this boss, a Smokey actually works better. Now you might be like, why would Smokey be working better when, you know, he's standing still, he's getting debuffed. He never gets to his 3rd ult, but sometimes he just has enough to keep your team alive. Sometimes, once again, it's very heavily dependent on RNG factors and stuff like that, but sometimes I do test Smokey and sometimes I do test Coco and just see which one works better. But once again, Corrin also a great option for that one. So let's go back out and let's go into Skyops. Skyops is honestly for me one of the easier bosses, personally speaking, from my experience. Let's see who they have as replacements down here. As you can see, we do have a ton of replacement options in this one. For this team, that team, I'm not going to go into that team because I feel that's a bit more niche. But basically for Skyops, I'm going to still be using my Thorin because I don't have my Rainier. So Thorin is the play, and that's basically the only change that I make is putting Thorin in place of the Rainier and then linking him to one of my DPS, and we're pretty much good to go from there. That team is pretty stable, pretty solid, and not too much wrong with it. The only thing is you can mix up artifacts with Coco to try and adjust her timing with her ultimate, and that works with any team. You can go ahead and you can test out the different artifacts. Once again, you can use this one for the haste. You can also test out where the hell is it? Dude, am I blind? This one. You can also test out Enlightening and putting Coco in the rear spot on the team. I mentioned that a lot because as you're progressing through, that can be very helpful as well. So those are the options. But once again, this one's pretty straightforward. If you don't have Rainier, just slap in Thorin, have him linked to your Merrily, and you're pretty much good to go. Now, you may also want to link him to your Odie, if you're Odie, because Odie's normally going to be your highest damage in this stage. So linking him to Odie is probably better so that Odie can survive the latest into the battle if you do have any issues. So that is what we are looking at there. Moving in to the final one, which is our Snow Stomper. Now, Snow Stomper is an interesting one. When we look at the formations they have, once again, did I go into the right one? Yes, I did. All right, so Snow Stomper, as you can see here, we've got the Shakir team with the Rainier. Once again, I don't have this, so that's not what I use. I normally go in with triple DPS is my play. So I will normally be running something like this, where I'm running the Thorin, I'm running that, and we will swap this for, where is she? There she goes, Cecilia. Now that's if you have Cecilia built. Most people will have her built still, I would consider. So this is more of the kind of team that I am looking at using with my Snow Stomper. And also I go more positioning like this and this. That keeps everyone pretty close to the front so that we can get the damage on them. Now, sometimes I may even swap it like this and use this one over here, depending on where you're at. This way, Cecilia doesn't get silenced at the start of the battle, and you can get Carlisle out to help him break. Because in this formation, even though Odie's beefed up and he's doing great damage this season, before the ice block, it's normally Merrily for me that gets ice blocked. So by using Cecilia, putting this on her, it means she gets Carlisle out, and because Odie's an idiot and he only targets the boss and doesn't help you really break the ice, this allows you to break the ice super quick on that Merrily because you do get Carlisle out. Now, depending on where you're at, this normally is beneficial if you're like pushing like 20 to 40% on the boss range. Once you get into the higher range, Cecilia's basic attacks are good enough, and then you can look to other things like Star Shard, Evocation, and stuff like that, and you'll be pretty good. So in this one, they actually recommend using the Quake Blade as well, but I do believe that is also due to the fact that they have Shakir in that team as well. And as you can see here, this one's more magic based because we do have the Cassidy and they use that one. But once again, I still find artifacts, you've just got to spread it around. There is so many usable artifacts now that you can just test it around and find out what works for you. But once again, that is going to wrap up all of the bosses. I just wanted to do a TLDR version, like I said, so I didn't ramble for about 10 hours. They're normally about 15 minutes videos when I do make the individual bosses. But if you go back over my old videos and you want more in-depth thoughts on them. All those core mechanics that I talk about still apply. It's just with the season we have different damaging options and different supporting options with things like Cassidy coming up. We also have the Elsa, and we have Florabelle coming into more teams as well as options for you guys to play with. But that is going to be it for this one. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.